Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to an edition of the Lead Pedal Podcast. This is episode number 1137, and we're going to talk about keeping drivers happy. Is that even possible? I don't know. We're going to certainly give it a try. We'll talk about it here and see. You let me know. I'm sure there's going to be some great comments here. Anyway, let's get into it right after. Here's a place where drivers seem pretty happy. I'll tell you all about it after the Bison message. Hey, folks, you know that Bison raised their rates at the beginning of the year for owner-operators and for company drivers. And I got to tell you, it has been so successful that they wanted to let you know exactly how much their drivers are making. That's right. They have significantly increased the base rates for their teams. So owner-operator teams can earn up to $360,000 per year. That's right. You heard me say that right. $360,000 per year. Company team drivers can earn up to $120,000 per year per driver. That's right, per driver. That's some big numbers, right? They have a wide variety of Canada-only dedicated team positions available for folks to choose from, and Bison has a steady freight to keep the teams moving. So if you want to significantly increase your base rates, then you want to make sure that you sign up for that. Now, Bison has also increased the base rates for owner-operators. Owner-operators running Canada-only can earn up to $185,000 per year. They have a wide variety of Canada-only positions for owner-operators to choose from, and Bison has a steady freight to keep the owner-operators moving. So where can you learn more about all of these things? I mean, $360,000 for owner-operator teams, $120,000 for company driver teams, and owner-operators running by themselves can earn $185,000 per year. Canada only. Folks, that is incredible. Well, the best place to go is to go to bisondriving.com. And while you're there, while you're talking to the team, would you let them know that you heard about it from the Lead Pedal Podcast? Hey, good luck there. You're going to make some great money working for one of the safest fleets in North America. That's right, and we want you to make great money, and we want you to work for some of the safest fleets in North America. But let's tell you about how to be happy. All right, so keeping drivers happy. This is going to be different for everybody, I think. I think for most drivers, we all want the same thing. We want to work for a company that respects us. We want to work for a company that's safe. We want to work for a company that's got great equipment, and we want to work for a company that gets us home on a regular basis. Now, those are the basics. That's the basics for anybody. But then there's a whole lot of other stuff in there that I've always worked for, and I've always thought, you know what, you really need to work at your drivers first. And this is old school. This is not something new. I was recently at a Fleet Safety Council conference, and Eugenia, who's the recruiter for Kriska and well respected in the industry, did a little bit of a presentation on keeping drivers happy, and I thought I would give you some of the highlights from that. It was a Q&A between her and Dirk Kupar, who's with Truckright, and she was saying that optics matter. So the first thing that she's looking at is the optics of the company. If the company looks like they're doing bad, drivers don't like that. They start getting sketchy. Drivers talk. They are like they're like old women sitting in a knitting class. They love to chat. So she says optics matter. What is your company doing? Are they keeping everything under the books? Are they making moves that you think the drivers don't see? But drivers see. Drivers talk on the road, and there's a lot of information that goes around behind the scenes. So if you're thinking of selling and you haven't talked to them or told them about it, then you need to really think about that. They say that when operations is slow, safety is busy. All right, and that's true. You should be busy. You should be busy all the time. But when operations are slow, is a great time to improve on your safety, improve on the training, get them in there. Don't just waste their time and have them sitting around at truck stops. Get them in for some extra training. Build that confidence so when things do get busy, they're ready to roll. That's a great thing right there. She was saying that drivers are afraid to say things when they're new. Like, if you ask them, how's the job going? They're all going to say fine. Nobody in their first 30 days is going to say, take this job and shove it. They're not going to say that. Some may want to, but they're not going to say that. So she says, if you're a recruiter, you need to be following up with your new talent every 30 days to make sure that they're happy. And as they go through their career and through the time at your company, they will either stay happy, hopefully, if you've done things right, or they may offer some improvements, which is even better, or they may just decide that this is not for them. Schedule your training. If you're going to have training, schedule it so that they know when it is, when it's coming up, and and they can put in their books, and make sure it's make sure it's interesting. I think that's probably the best way to say it. A lot of training out there is not. I think one of the best quotes she said is, "We are all responsible for retaining people. We are all responsible for retaining people." That is so true. If you are not retaining your people, it's not just the recruiter's job. It's not just management's job. It's the other driver's job to make sure someone feels comfortable. They come onto a fleet. We've all been new. If you have not been a new person on a fleet and felt the intimidation from other drivers, or, some drivers come in, and I know for myself, and I wasn't trying to steal people's runs or steal better trucks or anything like that, but I was just a hard worker, and I really enjoyed the trucking industry. And if you're someone who's passionate about the industry and you're somebody who's hardworking, you are going to get opportunities above some of those older drivers or more experienced drivers that have been on the fleet. And that can start looking bad. I know one time I was polishing my wheels, and a guy came up and he said, you're making us look really bad. I go, that's not my problem. That's yours. If you don't want to wash your truck, I'm not telling you have to wash your truck, but I like to drive a clean truck, and this is what I want to do. I've had that a number of times at companies. I've learned just to disregard it. You do what you want to do. And but it is up to everybody to make sure that the new drivers are comfortable, help them when you can. And, if you're applying for a job, she was saying, if you're applying for jobs, and this goes into Driver Inc., which we're going to talk about in another episode, but make sure it's a real job. Make sure that it's a real company. Make sure it's a good job, good company. The last thing you want to do as a new driver is to, get a job with a sketchy company and ruin your career right off the bat. That's good. Happy drivers will bring in new drivers. If your fleet is happy doing what they do, new drivers are going to want to apply there. And the problem is that you're probably not going to be able to take them on because you're going to have drivers that are staying with you long term. So make sure that you are doing stuff like that. That's really, really important to make sure that you've got a good fleet going, and know that everybody will be successful. Now, I looked this up here. This comes from Business Fleet, and Mark Morrell, and you guys probably know Mark Morrell. He's with the co-founder of Carrier's Edge, which is an online training program. They're here in Canada, but they work with fleets all through North America. And one of the things that Mark says in this article says, whether it's over the road, heavy haul, light duty, local, or whatever it is, how a fleet operators boost morale can keep their drivers happy. And part of that is by making sure that their drivers are in discussions with them, so that they understand what's going on at the company, whether things are going rough or tight, and now Mark Morrell and Carrier's Edge does the best fleets to drive for. So they've interviewed a lot of fleets on what they're doing right. In addition to offering more opportunities for communication and participation, some fleets create incentives or reward programs to increase drivers' morale. A low employee morale can end up hurting the bottom line, and it certainly will, because drivers will stop caring and they will start moving on to other places. Happy and engaged employees are more productive, accurate in their job functions, stay in their jobs longer, and treat customers in more positive ways, all of which a company can save a company money. So that's from Jeff Thomas, Vice President of Merchants Fleet. So they're saying here, get drivers involved. If you're trying to get drivers to buy in and participate, then Mark says get drivers involved, get their opinions, ask them what they do, and then make them change. Most drivers don't do opinions because most most companies just say, screw that, we don't want to listen to them, or they take it in to make it look good, but they don't do anything. Do some action. At least report back. Hey, we can't do this because, it's a good way of at least letting people feel that they're engaged in doing what they're doing. I can't tell you, being a driver myself, the drivers are on the front line. We know exactly we know what needs work, what needs help. We see it from more than just inside the bottom. We may not see the numbers, but we see the actions out on the road. And a lot of times we're hearing the comments from other drivers and from other receivers and shippers. So, They're saying do a survey. You can set up surveys. I don't know if surveys really work. Companies should consider involving drivers in the vehicle selection process, particularly when speccing the interior. Consider what features will make the drivers more efficient in their daily. That's the one thing I found at the companies I was at. The last couple companies I was at, that's what they were doing. They were making sure the drivers were involved in speccing the equipment. Because I can tell you, when people spec the equipment who have never driven a truck, they don't care. They don't care about seat comfort. They don't care about. I know for one, my last the chemical company, they bought a day cab, and we told them don't buy the day cab. We had 4 highway tractors, Freightliners. They bought a 5th truck, and they bought it, and they said, "Oh, we're hiring a new guy," and they hired a new bilingual guy. I go, "Why are you putting a bilingual guy in a day cab? Where's he going?" So they did that for about a year, and then sure enough, I knew it almost to the year. They came and said, "Bruce, we need you to change out trucks because we need to put the bilingual guy in a highway unit because he's going to back up the Quebec team." I said, "Well, I figured that. I don't know why you put him in that to begin with." Now, the truck that they gave me he was a bit shorter. The truck that he gave me, I had problems with my legs because I couldn't keep the seat up to where my legs should be stretched out enough because I would hit my head. The cab was too small. After that, the company went to bigger cabs. But now I'm stuck with what they call restless leg syndrome, much because of that driving career. And of course, I can't go back on doing it. And when drivers come in and they say, "Hey, you know what? This is wrong or it doesn't work," companies think they're whining. They might actually have something to say about that. They're saying you should also set realistic expectations on the onboarding process. Have a clear idea of what the company's objectives are. Make sure that the person coming in fits with that employer. Know what you're looking for in a driver, and make sure it's onboarded properly. Many companies want the driver to be service oriented, and it's a different type of driver now, right? The old drivers were, "Hey, let's get this done. I'll get it done however I can." And companies are going, "Now we want you to do it safe. We want you to do it legal, and we don't want you to have any issues on the road." So, make sure you're following up with your drivers. We already talked about that. Do regular meetings, touch base regularly, maintain communication, reward and incentivize them. So give them some rewards. You know what? The rewards don't have to be big, folks. It could be a coffee card. It could be a little stuff like that. And you'll make sure that you... they say the scorecards are a good way to help drivers who are driving compared to fleet average, so they can see where they are in the fleet. Are they doing good? Maybe it makes them step up a little bit. So there's lots of drivers who have 25 plus years of no accidents. Kudos to them, and make sure that you're promoting driver health at the same time. Without the driver health, there's no sense doing the rest of it. So hopefully that helps you retain drivers, whether you're a recruiter, whether you're a driver. If you know what you're looking for, that's going to really help you for sure to get the right job for you. And speaking of the right job for you, let me tell you about Driver Verified. Driver Verified is an online profile program where you go online, you go to driververified.com, you go online, you create a profile. You don't pay for that. That's free. You just create this profile, which will have your resume, which will have awards, which will have photos, whatever you want to put in there. You can put in there employment records. All of that goes into that Driver Verified profile. Now, when you go apply for a job, you just send the profile, and it's all verified that this is real, this is a real person, all of that. It makes the recruiters feel a lot more comfortable. And actually, it's searchable. So somebody, another carrier that's looking for a driver might be looking at those profiles and say, "Hey, that's the person for me." So check it out. You can be a driver, you can be an owner-operator. There's no fee to set one up. You only pay once you start sending out all of that stuff, and who knows what the recruiters may cover that for you. So check it out. It's a verified way of making sure your employment records are correct and positive, and that's what you want in today's world. All right, my friends, hey, thanks for listening. I hope that you're a happy driver, and I hope you keep happy doing what you do. And thanks for listening to the Lead Pedal Podcast. We really appreciate your support. 2023 is gone, and 2024 is coming up, and we are excited for a new year. So make sure you check that Catch the Wave, and we will catch the wave on our Instagrams. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Mixcloud for our Lead Pedal Radio. We're everywhere. So check us out, catch the wave, and we hope to see you again soon. Be safe out there, my friends. Bye.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.